This is the next video in a series on musicians and trying to dig into what musicians are actually talking about in their videos. Many of them are very cryptic. This one is just as cryptic. And this is Jaden Hossler's video, Sober. So what I thought we would do is we would watch the video and go through it, and I'll pause it as we go through and talk about different points. So we'll go ahead and stop it right there at the 27-second mark. There are a few things to pick up on right at the very beginning. So notice the idea is a show, like he's on display. He's recording in a studio, but the real point is to get this idea of the Sabbath. And the Sabbath, this is a common theme in a lot of pop culture and folks that talk about this kind of thing relatively openly, but not openly. It's the idea of we're living sort of in a movie, or we're living in a time where you have to sort of watch how things play out. And that's the concept of a Sabbath. So we have to sort of see how we're going to react and behave in an environment where we're not connected, where we don't have a connection to the other side. And what Jaden's doing here is he's presenting himself in this position where he's apart from this other thing, this other half that he sort of lusts for. And you'll notice throughout this video, he sort of goes back and forth between him and the woman on the bowl being sort of almost like the same person. So you'll see sometimes he's in the video in the same, but he's sitting there in the same room, and then sometimes it's her. The idea is she's riding a bull. The concept of the woman on the bull is a bullet. It's the concept of the animal carrying the Ark of the Covenant. That's really effectively what it is, and that Ark has to eventually open up. But being sober means you have to be the opposite of pious. Being pious is the biblical idea of being drunk. So go ahead and keep watching. So go ahead and stop there at the 55-second mark. Notice he's standing in front of a church, and the idea is the whitewashed tomb has to be washed from the inside out. Ezekiel 4 talks about how the Son of Man has to lay on his side, and then he has to flip around and lay on his other side, and the only way to do that is to sort of turn yourself inside out. And notice the stark contrast here. What Jaden's doing is he's depicting the church that is filthy on the inside and whitewashed on the outside. And the body, according to the Bible, is the temple. And what Jaden's body is doing here is he's standing there with his back to the cross, and he's got his history in the form of tattoos all over his body. The point is he's got his dirty laundry on display while the church is hiding it deep inside. It's a very strong symbol that he's trying to portray here. I stopped it at the minute 47 mark, and one of the things that I think is really important to pick up on with that particular stop is he's pawing at the church, at the outside of the church in the darkness, and then he's turning around and pawing at the woman in the video. And the point is he's likening the two to one another. It's the idea of, let's call it's the idea of Mary and Joseph being inside the church while he's stuck outside the church. I think that's a good way to describe it. It's the idea of the mother of Jesus being inside the church, being like the woman on the bowl, and then he's pawing at the church as though it's the exact same kind of person. I think that's the best way to describe it from a biblical backstory sort of perspective. So stopping it at the 2-minute 30 mark. So I've noticed that the 2-minute 30 mark is pretty powerful from a cross perspective when things sort of cross over. It's usually the 30-second mark, but 2:30 for some reason with artists is significantly more powerful. And you'll see that he is changing things up where she's in the room watching the video while he's over there sort of writhing in pain. And the concept, I think the greatest concept is this longing, this desire to return to the church, but knowing that you can't return to the church. You have to stay away because the one that's powerful enough to cast you out and cut you off is still unaware of your existence. You're still sort of the pariah. You're still the one stuck out in the cold until she figures it out. And the really cool thing about Jaden's video, and most of his songs are this way, probably all of them actually, where it's this succession of like going from further away to a little bit closer, and then ultimately sort of in the same room. Yet there's separation, but the idea is it's not quite complete, but it gets really close to being complete and together. So stopping at the 2-minute 42 mark, this is a profound image, he's sitting on a mattress in the parking lot of a dollar store. So the concept of the money changer is the idea of an individual or of a person. People are money. In the biblical world, people are money. So him sitting on a mattress waiting in a dollar store parking lot, that's the idea of money. And then obviously you sleep there, that type of thing, but you're parked, you can't go anywhere. So the complexity of being in a parking lot is you can't move. So it's like what he says in his song Elevated Heartbreak about being stuck in a driveway. It's the same kind of concept. You can't go anywhere. And then the video ends with him just sitting on the mattress with his head down and his arms crossed. And the concept is the show's over and gonna do it all over again. So he's saying this entire song, sorry for last night. Well, the end of this makes it almost look like you have to do it over and over again, almost like he's a puppet or just going through it in a robotic way. So that's just candidly pretty sad, but that's kind of the idea. So it's quite biblical in all regards.